What's up, everyone? Happy Friday. You made it. We made it. StreamYard and LinkedIn played nice. It gave me like a slight heart attack for just a moment before we went live, but we are here. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Friday Live with Lauren show. It is Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. We are here every week. Set your reminders. Today, I have such a fun guest with me. I literally have been asking this guest to come on, I think, since I started the show. And just timing didn't align and life and things. And when this all happened and it all worked out, I think I had such a hard time sleeping last night. It was like Christmas Eve. I felt like Santa was coming. I was so stoked to have the one, the only April Little in the house. What's up?
Hi. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. Like, this has been like a dream come true for me. April, I think like you're one of my first like true LinkedIn friends. I'll never forget like the long series of voice texts back and forth when I was having moments of crisis and we're just going back and forth at it. And then it turned into text and phone calls and just friendship. So thank you so much for joining me. I so appreciate you.
I thank you for having me. I was telling you right before the show, this is a full circle moment because when LinkedIn, I like to still say it was in its infancy back in like January 2022, we were all sort of getting our feet wet with the platform. And I think that we all talk about what community is, and community is not just commenting. What Lauren and I used to do was sometimes we would exchange just notes about the algorithm together, either in voice notes or we would have calls. I actually have some other folks that I just want to shout out. I have, I believe it was Eric Sunday and Anna. We had the little alliance where we would meet like bi-weekly. Like that's real community to get on this platform, and that was happening behind the scenes. So, and you were a part of that.
I love it. The community that we've built, and like my tagline says, if I can't, my network can. That has literally been since day one how I feel about LinkedIn. So y'all, if you are watching, comment where you're joining us from. We don't know you're here if you don't comment. This is not an audio event. We cannot see you in the audience. Share the show. Let your friends know we're here. You're also going to want to share the show because we have an official gifting sponsor on this show. April, how many shows have you been on that have an official gifting sponsor?
This is the first one.
The first one. Our official gifting sponsor is Sendoso, y'all. Sendoso is a gifting platform. You can tag Sendoso to be entered into the grand prize drawing for March. We give away a $200 gifting experience. $200. There's a lot of people in your network that you could gift that to. And if you want to gift it to yourself, I won't tell. So tag Sendoso in the comments, get entered to win while April and I start talking. April, why don't we do a little introduction? I don't feel like you necessarily need it, but for the people who don't know, let's talk about who is April Little.
Well, thanks for putting me on the spot. So hi, everyone. My name's April Little. I spent most of my career in TA. So I think that's kind of how you and I also got in touch, right? Because you spent a lot of time in TA. So I spent most of my career in TA. I'm now an executive and leadership career coach where I primarily coach women that are not afraid to say that they want more money and they're hungry for a title. So if that's you, that is exactly what I do. And then outside of that, I do write content here on LinkedIn. I do think I'm starting to enjoy LinkedIn more 2 years in because I'm not just writing about what I'm offering. I think it's really nice to just start writing about whatever I want. And I think that's the beauty of building a personal brand, which I know we'll talk about later.
Yes, we're definitely going to talk about that later. And I should probably follow your lead a little more and not just say whatever I want all the time. But maybe that is fully my brand, is just saying whatever we want.
And that's it. And I think it is the moments, Lauren, when I'm writing about things that have nothing to do with my offerings that actually bring a client.
I feel the exact same way. Or the posts that people are like, oh, I can't believe you would post that. And then the CEO messages me and he's like, oh, I really liked that. I was like, yeah. Y'all, yeah. CEOs read comments and they have a sense of humor too. I'm so sorry to be the one to inform you of that. All right, let me tell you all what we're going to talk about today. While I'm telling you that, if you have questions, ask in the chat. At the end of the show, we'll try to pull a couple to answer. But while you're doing that, let me tell you, we're going to talk about building a brand across platforms. April, you have seen some crazy success across platforms. We're going to talk about that. I'm super excited. We're going to talk about self-worth versus self-work. We all need to do self-work, but how do we value ourselves while we're doing it? How do we remember our self-worth along the way? I'm going to tell you about the accountability group. We're going to do High Five Friday. Then April's going to give us all a lowdown on career insurance. You need to know what this is. No, it's not something you can go buy. Please don't call your insurance agent and say, "Can you quote me?" Don't do. Not recommending that. But we're going to talk all about career insurance, and then we're going to talk about the fact that you are not too anything. Don't let somebody tell you that you are too much of anything. We're going to cover all of these things today. So tune in, buckle up, get ready. We're going to start with building across platform. Are you ready, April?
I'm ready.
All right. So, in terms of building across platforms, oh, where did April go? There you go.
I'm here.
There you go. I was like, what happened? In terms of building across platforms, I want to talk about transitioning personal brands. How do you adjust your messaging, right? First off, let's talk about where you found success first, where you're going next, and how you adjust your brand.
So I found success first, and I've shared this story and I'll share it again because I know I'm on a different platform. So I do sometimes feel like people are like, oh, I know the story, which great if you do, but I'll just share it. When I got started on LinkedIn, it was really out of a revolt, right? Or I was dealing with the resistance of not being supported in building my brand. So when I started, I will say that my results are not typical. I did scroll LinkedIn for a really long time because I was not allowed to post. And I had probably a year's worth of posts right in my phone because I started learning how to post. And so then I started posting in January of 2022. And I think I went viral, I think, around the whole elitism thing with some of these large tech companies only prioritizing people from other tech companies if they got laid off at that time. And I grew my following on LinkedIn from basically 0 to 100 in about 10 months. And then from there, it's certainly been a lot slower, and I'm at 200K now, and I'm really comfortable with that number. And in fact, we'll talk a little bit about this later. I'm actually looking to lower that number a little bit because I have too many actual connections. So that's part of it now as I'm in my pruning season. And then once I got really comfortable, they say not to move to another platform. So I was trying to do the whole, let's try to be like, have some omni-channel presence. Let's go over here. It was just way too much work. So I wanted to grow LinkedIn to a place that I was really comfortable with. And now that I'm comfortable with it, I'm now on Instagram, and I joined Instagram right at the beginning of the new year. And at the beginning of that, I wanted to just grow a fresh audience without really leveraging LinkedIn. I did say I was leaving LinkedIn as like my one post to really get that going. And in terms of adjusting the message, I haven't really adjusted it. I've been able to leverage a lot of the written content and just expand upon it in Reels. And I think what that has done is it has accelerated speed of trust, given that it takes someone about 3 months to want to maybe work with me. I'm seeing that, shortened down to a month. And in fact, I got my first speaking engagement from Instagram, and they had no idea that I had a LinkedIn. And I think I only had 350 followers at that time.
That's incredible. Y'all, you can do anything. April's proving it. 100,000 followers in 10 months. Are you joking? I remember when you were like, you're going to hit 12K in a year. And I was so excited. Okay. I want to talk about the ways you measure success on all platforms, right? I talked to some people who I think a lot of us would consider creators or influencers. And I'm like, hey, what do your metrics look like? And they're like, I don't track that. I don't like to track that. I don't enjoy it. It doesn't give me joy. How do you track your success? What's important for you? What do you think people should be paying attention to in terms of successful metrics?
I do think that you will start to understand what your audience wants to see based off of the comments, the reposts. I really look at repost a lot more these days, and overall the engagements. So, but I do think that you can't write for engagement all the time when you're looking to make a sale. So let me follow up with that. I think that you have to tweak the messaging a little bit if you want it to resonate. So if I have tried, for example, introducing topics around not being a broken bird, starting entrepreneurship as a broken bird, right? People don't resonate with that, but they do when I write it as a story. So I think it's changing the mode of how you communicate it as well, not just so much the messaging. So I do think it is really important, Lauren, to speak. And I do think that once you've gotten your messaging down, you're going to get bored because 10% of people are only seeing your stuff anyway. That's when you know that you're getting in the right place. And then I think, 1 or 2 days a week, you can do some A/B testing and introduce new content. But for the most part, your core content that has brought you clients is the content where you could probably spin a whole universe from it. So I'm actually working with a client right now who wrote one piece of content, but in her bullets, we were able to look at that and say, this is like 3 other pieces of content. So yeah, I think your metrics are really important, but I'm not looking at them super closely. I am just looking at, okay, it looks like this style of writing. So my primary style of writing is either writing client stories, and they do allow me to do that. I'll change some details, testimonials, and my own story.
I think it's important to note that you did say reposts are important because not enough people pay attention to that. And when somebody reposts your comment or your content, when somebody reposts your content, that's a big deal. I tell people it's like when somebody clicks save on your content for later. Like, I don't save everyone's content. I don't repost everyone's content. I repost the content of people I like, and I repost the content that I really think my network needs to see. So to April's point, if somebody's reposting your content, they're really resonating with that. And people only see your content for so long. Like April said, only 10% of people are even seeing this. You can post it again in 4 days. You can post it again in a week. You can post it again in 3 weeks. There's this like really negative connotation around repurposing content. Like, I'm not saying go word for word copy and repaste every single thing you've ever posted, but you can repost and repurpose a lot of your content if you do it correctly.
That is true. And I think you bring up a really good point about repurposing. You literally can copy and paste it. You can turn it into you can write it from a different angle. Every piece of content can probably be written from a different point of view. But I'll also say too, that organic reach just across all platforms is down. So that's even more of an incentive for you to start reposting, because we might think that everybody sees what we're doing, but we're really mostly important to ourselves. And if they see it again in 2 to 3 months, they're not going to remember that you posted that, unless it's just a real big text post and it was really potent. They're not going to remember it.
Yeah, we think about us a lot more than anybody else thinks about us, y'all. Like, you need to remember that daily. You think about you much more than anybody else thinks about you. Peter says, I've interviewed at many places that don't track metrics. What? Tell me who these places are. These people are crazy. Love the new setup. Thank you. Love the lights. Shout out the one. Got me some pretty lights in here. Andrew says, April, don't get rid of me. Don't get rid of Andrew. When you downsize. Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got a good crowd today. Okay, we're going to jump into topic number 2. But really quick, before we do that, I made a post about an hour before we went live. I'm not sure too many people saw it, but we do have what?
I'm heading over live too.
We do have a second special giveaway today. Now, this one has a few stipulations because it can only be shipped to certain places. So let me tell you that right now. If you're going to enter to win this one, you have to be in the United States. And there's 6 states that it does not ship to. I will read those aloud or put them in the scrolly bar or whatever that thing is called below. But listen, we're going to give away some vodka today. I love me a nice lemon drop or cosmopolitan. I don't know if any of you are into some nice vodka, but start tagging Vena Spirits. Okay, this is a Vietnamese vodka. The founder's name is Jackie Tran, and this is brought to you courtesy of Emmy Dawson at Needle Finder Recruiting. So we love female founders here. If you sign up to be a client of mine and you are a female founder, I give you 2% off my rates. We love female founders, so tag Vena Spirits and you could win some vodka. You cannot live in these states. I will drop them in a comment and put it above. All right. Or I guess it'll show up below. I don't know. Sometimes I have my blonde moments here where above, below, right, left. Who knows? Who knows what's up and what's down? Okay, let's move into self-worth versus self-work. Okay. This is a big topic, in my opinion. I feel like a lot of people don't understand the balancing act of this, right? So I
Mhm.
want to talk to you, April, specifically, because you've done so much, especially recently in your career. How do you balance the journey of self improvement, but still recognizing your inherent self worth, especially in like all of these competitive fields? We talk to so many people who are in so many competitive fields. Like, how do we balance that?
I think it really does start, and I know some of this stuff is going to feel very Dr. Philly, but I do think it is internally how we view ourselves. And I can tell you that even though I might come across extremely confident on here, I think we all do. You get off of here and you're like, oh, and then you might start to criticize yourself. And I think that it starts really early. There's different people that we've been around that have shaped how we might feel about ourselves, what they've said. And in fact, some of the things that they said can actually be your superpower. And I've said this before, that my two favorite words is you can't. Whereas that probably would have, crippled me before. So I think it's starting to also reframe that. But I do think it's not something that's fixed. I don't think that they wake up every day. Like, I don't think people wake up every day happy. I think, in fact, you shouldn't strive to be happy every day. You should strive to have joy. I actually read that somewhere because happiness is so fleeting. And I think self-worth is something that's very similar to that. And I can tell you that being on this platform actually helped me develop my self-worth, because a few years ago, you probably would have thought I was an introvert. And I really don't subscribe to those terms. I know that we like to label ourselves with everything now, like, oh, you're introvert, you're extrovert. I just think that I talk to who I talk to. And if I don't feel good energy, I won't talk to you. Right.
That's
um,
true.
so, but I think, before I would have came and gone and you would have never known I was in the room. And so honestly, I would even say that I credit having a personal brand and being on LinkedIn to me sharing my perspective openly and starting to really build up armor around the people that don't agree with me. Right. And also even recognize, even like a few months ago, Lauren, I even said to myself, and I wrote a post about this, that I'm going to try to do a better job of just saying the thing that I want to say without putting a bunch of disclaimers in there, because then it waters it down if I'm trying to speak to the whataboutism, which also goes into my self-worth, that everybody's not going to agree with me. Whereas I want it to be liked by everybody. And there is a secret part of me that wants to be liked, right? But I do think in general that I could say the sky's blue and somebody else would say that it's baby blue. No, it's purple. So I think you start to understand that even more. Did you want me to jump into what developing your self-worth looks like rewiring?
Yeah, my next question was going to be like, what advice would you give to people who can't really differentiate these two things? And like you're saying, how do you rewire yourself in this mindset?
So I think the first one is starting to give yourself credit for what you do. We sometimes discredit ourselves. So I might say, Lauren, you have a great show here. And you're like, oh, this so little thing. No, you start owning it. Oh, thanks. Start owning that. Like, I think that that's really important. But I think that's the self-worth part, is starting to do that. But I also want to bring up something else too, that I think that it's okay to compare yourself to other people, which everybody won't agree with. I think that there is a comparison that steals your joy, but I also think there is a comparison that allows you to improve or to understand what your standing is. And I sometimes do that with clients. I had a client, she's going to know exactly who I'm talking about, that didn't believe that she was ready for a VP role. And I literally had to take her through some LinkedIn profiles to show her some people that were mediocre and they thought that they were the best thing ever. And they were doing the job that she wanted, and they were going to keep doing it. And she was going to keep doubting herself. And I think that that's part of it, right? Is looking for, and I say this a lot, possibility models. Then I think that the other part of it is starting to put a cadence. So when you're ready to start feeling good, is attaching a goal to what that thing is, whatever that is, and setting a cadence to it. The same way you would at work, whether that's journaling, whether that's putting yourself out there, maybe joining Toastmasters. But I do think that building your confidence and self-worth is more of an action verb than it being more mindset. I really do think that improving your confidence, improving your self-worth is more of an action than just, oh, let me just talk to myself nice. It's putting yourself out there and being uncomfortable.
I agree with you so much. If you can be comfortable being uncomfortable, you have a superpower. You have a superpower, people. Just lean into the uncomfortable. We're all supposed to be a little bit uncomfortable from time to time. It happens.
Yes.
like embrace it, acknowledge it. And when you can literally lean into it so much that when you are uncomfortable, that you're just like, okay, cool, I'm uncomfortable. And it's like, that's normal for me. I feel like I put myself in so many uncomfortable situations. If you guys were watching when I went live with Melissa, I showed the picture of me laying down on the floor on the yacht when we were in the middle of the party, because I was trying to explain that, like, sometimes you just have to do something crazy and not care what anybody thinks about you.
Yeah.
Like, you literally just can't care, and then get up and, like, go on with your day, and who cares? You think about you more than anybody else thinks about you.
This is very true.
That's like the
Very
number
true.
one piece of advice I wish people would take from this show. Like, you think about you more than anyone else thinks about you. I know that's true because I send out invites to this show every week and half the people don't accept them. And I'm the only one thinking about me and my show. You're not thinking about it, right? Like, you think about you. We think about us all the time. When we wake up in the morning, we're thinking about, how do I make my day better? How do I make my life easier? How do I get through this situation? How do I perform better? How do I be a better, whatever the thing is you want to be, right? We think about us. We are the main character in our story. And everybody's the main character in their story. So think about that when you're interacting with people too. They're in their own head thinking about them. How can you interact with them? How can you make that work?
It's the Spotlight Effect 101.
All right. We did have a question, and it was from Chris Bogue. I want to go back. It was on the subject of content creation. So it says, oh, it's so big. I'm going to have to move it. Okay. What about the opposite of repurposing? How do you figure out when a strategy isn't working for you and you need to try something different? What do you think about that, April?
So if we were to, so I'm going to speak specifically for getting leads, right? That's usually my biggest key indicator. If my content over maybe a 2-week period, especially after I've already built community. So I will share with you, Chris, when I work with my clients on the back end for building their brand, I am actually having them to focus on building their community, doing their commenting strategy for about a month before I actually have them posting. So we do that so we can start eliminating, okay, people, the visibility issue, right? Because you've kind of built that first layer. But then when you start posting and people aren't resonating and it's not getting you leads, it means that you're not using your customer's voice, right? Because we're all posting for a purpose to attract someone either to our content for dopamine or for cash or just for visibility, just for branding, for future, whatever the case is. And if you are not seeing leads from that, I would say after just a few weeks of posting, after you've already done that work and you've kind of established yourself, or even if you're making a pivot and you are established and you're not getting leads, you are not getting DMs from your conversations, then it is not working. And one of the things that I do is I do use a lot of my clients' voice so they can hear their voice in my content. Not the clients I'm working with because I keep it confidential, but discovery calls and some of the things that we've talked about more so at a high level that I'm looking for in terms of helping people. And if those things aren't there, it's not going to call someone out.
100%. Joshua Bailey says, it's crazy to see how building your personal brand can open doors to people who really relate to you and can resonate with you. True community. Joshua, how do you think I met April? Doing that. And look at this community that we've all built here. And that's how I met you in Tampa and doing all the things. Nick says, love the topic of self-worth versus self-work, and vodka helps self-worth. That's very funny, Nick. I hope you live somewhere where you could actually win the vodka. I did put up, y'all, it does not ship to these states. I was not the best student. I'll probably get them wrong, so I'm not going to tell you what they are. But there you go. If you live in one of those, that's not your stuff. An embargo on posting. It's really a good research period, at least. It seems more common for corporate recruiters to not track metrics versus agency. Ooh, what do you think about that, April?
That is very accurate. When I worked at 2 companies ago, I won't name it, but we were just genuinely measured by were bodies coming in the door. We didn't actually have a scorecard. My last job, we actually did have a scorecard, and that was 6 hires per month. But,
oh my gosh.
But there are so many corporate recruiting jobs where you're not really measured. You're just measured by, is the department's quiet? Are they getting bodies in? And it doesn't matter how many bodies.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, definitely all metrics. I remember my very first day at my first agency, I had to send out 50 individual personalized videos to candidates on top of the other things I had to do that day. And I remember I did it, and it took me 8 hours. I've never done that before. It took me my full 8 hours just to do the videos. And I'll never forget finding out like weeks later as the only person who had ever actually got it done their first day.
Wow.
I was like, "Are y'all serious?"
Did
Like,
it convert? Did it work?
oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, like this was when April, like I started April
Mhm.
2022. I know April, but I started posting in April of
Of
2022.
2022. Okay.
April 4th was my day that I started like one day every day for a year, one post every day for a year. But I started posting in April, man, and it was a different time then, right?
Yeah.
Like it was a different time. I don't feel like as many people were sending videos in the DMs as they are now. I feel like now there's also a lot of AI elements to things, and I don't know. It was just me talking to you, sitting in my home office. There was probably a blooper in the video, and I would call it out in the title. And yeah, it converted really, really well for me. I would say that I highly recommended it then, but I don't necessarily know if a cold video DM is what I would recommend today. I think that now you can use video in so many parts of your sales process. It doesn't necessarily have to just be that first initial outreach. And I also think one, I built my brand a lot so people kind of know who I am. I post a lot of videos. I have a live show. Like we do research as buyers. It would take somebody 2 minutes to go on my page and see a video of who I am. I don't have
Mhm.
to do that anymore. Whereas when I was first starting out, there was no content. There was no videos. There was no let's go see who Lauren is. So I think it was just different.
That's true. It was different. There was
Yeah.
less users at the time. I want to say there was what 800 billion users at the time. Then in 2023, it crawled up to 900. Now we're at a billion.
It's so much. It's so
Yeah.
much. And if even if 1% of the increase is creating now, think about that. Michelle says that she loves sending videos as follow-ups from events and intro calls. Yes.
I
I
like
love
that.
those too. I like
Yeah.
to send a video thank you. I tell candidates, like, if you're through that whole thing, like, send a video as a thank you and really tell these people, let them hear the inflection in your voice. My connections have grown as well, not in the 6 digits, but it continues to grow. Oh, thank you. Thank you. We're going to talk about the accountability group in a little bit. Andrew, appreciate you. And Nick does live in a vodka friendly shipping state. Congratulations to you, Nick. If you are just now tuning in, don't forget you can tag Vena Spirits to win a bottle of their blue label vodka. I actually think I have a picture of it. Let me see. Was Lauren this prepared today? She was. There you go. So you'll win that beautiful bottle of vodka right there. And next, we're going to talk to you guys about the accountability group and High Five Friday. I'm going to let April go take a little bit of a breather and a break. April, we'll see you back here in like a minute and a half. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. See you just a second. All right, guys, we're going to talk quickly about the accountability group. If you watched last week, I told you all that we might be getting rid of the accountability group. We might be keeping it. I'm going to run it one more month. We're going to keep it going in April. So I'm going to tell you all about that. If you want to grow your brand, if you want to learn how to post, who to talk to, who to figure out what to say, and if you want it all for free, we're going to tell you about the accountability group. And I'm going to bring on the one and only Michelle Craig for the best part of the show. We have 5 high fives to talk about today. And I think Michelle is going to celebrate one of her special wins. So don't forget, tag Sendoso, tag Vena Spirits, and we'll see y'all in just 1 second.
What is up, y'all? We are back with another High Five Friday. As always, pumped to be here, over caffeinated, and excited to share some shout outs, some wins. For me, if y'all didn't see, I posted earlier about my win this last couple of weeks is just getting more active. So whether that's hiking on the weekend, hitting the driving range, going for a walk in the morning, and even just focusing on wellness and activity can feel my mental health has improved significantly. So if you need a little motivation, let me know. DMs are always open. Now, let's get into our high fives for today. So, first, we have joy for Zoya. Zoya worked in sales enablement at Gong, where she ran Sales MBA, an AE readiness program that resulted in more than half of Gong SDRs getting promoted to AE within a year. Now she's running Uncapped, a sales platform designed to bring more diversity into tech sales and improve rep retention by training sellers to succeed in B2B sales and by creating networking opportunities. On top of all of that, Zoya also hosts a sales podcast that was rated top 10 in 2024 by QuotaPath. Amazing. Zoya's out here crushing it. I'll have to connect with you, girl. Nick for Eric. Eric is my first LinkedIn friend and has been super helpful in helping me be amazing at sales. He also has great hair. Might have to confirm that one. Love that, Nick. All right. And then Molly from Earn Better wants to give Erin a shout out. I had an awesome networking conversation with Erin. In addition to great energy, she had some amazing questions and input. I really loved our discussion. We love networking chats. We love building our networks, getting to connect with folks here. And then the one and only Lauren wants to give a shout out to Dave. Dave always makes me smile, and today made my Friday amazing. I jokingly posted my Venmo on LinkedIn for money for margaritas, and a few minutes later got a notification on my phone. Spicy margs on Dave tonight. Thank you for being you. And then last but not least, we all want to give it up to our dear friend Jacob, who submitted a win. After being laid off with no warning 10 days before Christmas, no severance, and fighting tooth and nail to support my children over these last 3 months, it's all been worth it because I received an offer yesterday and accepted it. I'm excited to start my new journey. We are so excited for you, Jacob, and always love the support that we get from you on the show and across the board. So cheers to Friday, y'all. Don't forget, you can submit your wins or your shout outs for next week, and I'll see you soon.
Bye, Michelle.
Bye.
All right, y'all. How was that? Ready for Miss April to come back on? High five to everyone. Giant shout out to Jacob, y'all. I'm gonna bring April on. I don't know, April, did you hear about what happened to Jacob on the High Five Friday and losing his job? And high five to him for getting his offer and all of that signed. Congratulations. Yeah, y'all, getting laid off with no notice, no severance, no nothing like that. It's really hard. And if you're going through it right now, I just want you to know we see you. It is not an easy time. One of those high fives was from Molly from Earn Better. Earn Better is a free tool for job seekers. I'm just going to throw that one out there for y'all. If you are watching and you are a job seeker, want all the support for you guys that we can possibly figure out. So that's one for me. Ask questions in the chat. You got a question for me or April? We'd be happy to answer. Tag Sendoso to be entered into this prize giveaway. But we got some more topics coming. And one of them I think is really important. And I think some of you are watching are like, Lauren, I don't even know what you meant when you talked about career insurance. What is career insurance? And I'm going to be really truthful with y'all. I heard about career insurance from this woman. Gosh, it's always back to this woman over here. So I want April to come on and please talk to us. Can you please elaborate on this concept of career insurance and how can individuals watching today work towards actually insuring their careers?
Yeah. So I think it's a combination. Like Lauren said, it's not an actual policy that you can purchase, but I think that that's what actually makes it amazing is that once you've started working on it, and we all know that real insurance really has no value until you've had it for a while anyway. So it's the same concept with actual insurance. And I think right now in this market, we need this more than ever. And I know that there's a lot of call to actions. I shouldn't have to be an influencer to get a job. And I agree, you should not have to be an influencer to get a job. And in fact, there are a lot of influencers on this platform that have 40, 50, 100,000 people in their audience, and they are still not working because they don't have the right people in their audience. And so I think that that's what we have to talk about is that you can have 100 pennies or you can have $2. So I think that that's the focus. But the first thing for career insurance is making sure that it's basically digging a well before you need it. It's starting your platform on a or your personal brand on a platform of your choice. LinkedIn's always going to be number one. And then I think you branch off from there. I don't think you try to do that on multiple platforms. And it's identifying what your thought leadership is. So that's looking at what can I ramble about for 30 minutes that could probably help people. And it's probably aligned in what you've been doing every day in your corporate job. And then you start putting together different experiences that you've had and you talked to yourself 10 years before, along with talking to people. So you could start putting together, what am I going to talk about and serve? But I also think there's another part to it. If you're still an entrepreneur, you should be, while you have access to all your information at work, building your resume, keeping that up to date, and actively entertaining conversations with recruiters and hiring managers, even when you are incandescently happy at work. So that is really what career insurance is. A lot of people don't do it. In fact, I know they don't do it because my own clients get excited about interviews and they stop looking. So I know that people don't do it while they're actually working, and that's what's so important.
I got to bring this up right now, y'all. The number of people who tell me, no, I'm good, and like aren't even willing to hear the offer, what it is, what it could be. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, don't you at least want to practice interviewing? Like, for me, I will take an interview, not even because I remotely think I might take that job, but because that's free practice. You guys know how much some people pay for interview practice? When I was doing job seeker support sessions, like one-on-one job search sessions, people paid extra money to have practice interviews with people they don't know. Y'all, go take an interview for a job you don't want and get that good practice in. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to give you that advice. If you can't afford to go out and pay for practice and pay me or April to come support you and go take an interview for a job you don't really care about and see how you do in that interview and see how you answer those questions. Those are always my favorite interviews, are the interviews that I'm like, I don't really care. Let me see how I can answer this and let's see how it goes. Am I recommending doing it every day? No. But every now and then, if you haven't interviewed in a long time, if you're rusty, go take an interview somewhere and entertain a call. Like, what's it gonna hurt? What's it gonna hurt? I don't
And
know.
I think, Lauren, too, you're building up your confidence to start reverse interviewing, because people still don't do that in interviews. They still say things like, well, I can't make less than I'm making. I think it starts to build your confidence for you to start asking for what you're looking for when you start practicing interviewing. I think you also start researching the company a little bit more, and you focus less on the words coming out of the interviewer's mouth, and you start measuring the LinkedIn profiles of the people who work there to see if they have promotion lines. That's something I always look for. Are they happy? What are those people liking there too? So I think that it really helps you build your confidence overall. So when you're actually looking, you're not taking the first offer that comes your way.
Yeah.
You're not making the first post, going back to personal branding. Your first post should not be, oh, I'm separated from my company and I need a job.
How do you feel about those posts, really?
I think that they work. I still see a lot of elitism in them when we think about where people have been laid off from. People are willing to help Bambi, as I call it. And I mean that in the most loving way possible, but there's so many people who also have the same level of value and worth. And we start seeing it be ranked against each other depending on their company and whether we know their company and all that. But when I think of it being a strategy, it's the worst strategy you can ever do. Worst strategy is your first post is that. And I'm not saying that content guarantees a job, but you know what they say, if it can't, it doesn't hurt, but can it help? But it certainly can't hurt.
What do you think about people who are laid off and don't update their LinkedIn to show that they are laid off and sit in kind of this bubble of they're interviewing, but their LinkedIn looks like they're working, and then they're having to navigate the conversation of they're really not?
So I do have a strong relationship with reality. I'm a realist, and I do realize why people do that. So I don't see an issue with you leaving yourself as employed with that employer if you're still getting paid out from that employer. You're still technically working. I think we all know as recruiters that a lot of the times leadership teams have us looking for passive talent. And passive talent means they're currently working. They want you going after someone who is in seat at the organization because there's this false assumption that they're hypo, right? that's not the case, but that's just the reality of it. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people do it. I don't really care going into like the green banner, whether you have it or not. I do see why people get worried about having it because people keep talking about it. So it's like, if somebody's still talking about it, then that means a decision maker has a problem with it, and there shouldn't be a problem with it.
I 100% agree with you. I look for the green banners, y'all. You make my life easier. I'm sorry. I joke with people,
Yep.
but recruiters are salespeople. And in the sense of like finding new business, I love it. And I love the chase and I love the hunt of finding the right candidate. But y'all, we lazy at the end of the day.
When I was sourcing, it saved me a lot of money because I could just go right to that filter.
100%, so much. Except I don't have LinkedIn Recruiter anymore. So that's, oh well. Me neither. Yeah, no, I'm not stuck into a contract. I'm not paying that kind of prices anymore. Oh, look, we did our job. We'll start talking to interviewers now.
Cheers.
Rich said, I paid the loyalty tax heavily, 31 years. And Lindsay said, same, 23 years. Y'all. All right, really quick. Let's say one more time. High five, Zoya, Eric, Aaron, Dave, and Jacob. You guys rock. By the way, Dave really did Venmo me for a margarita. I did not think anybody was going to Venmo me. I thought about like, I'm really happy I put my real Venmo link out there, April.
Yeah.
But LinkedIn's telling somebody that it's my birthday. I got like 6 DMs that were like, oh, it's your birthday. Oh, it's your birthday. And like the first one, I was like, it's not my birthday. In my head, I'm like, what are you like? What's going on? What? And then it kept coming. It's got to be a LinkedIn glitch, y'all. No, it is not my birthday, but it's not even my half birthday. Oh, look, Joy showed up. Hi, Joy.
Hi, Joy.
It never shows me that it's her, but we love you, Joy. Joy was on a few weeks ago. Tom says, oh gosh, it covers our whole face. Listen to April and Lauren here. Let me move us up. There we go. Listen to April and Lauren. It's smart to have conversations, even if you are very happy at work and you don't want to make a move right now. Everything can change overnight. I have literally seen CEOs removed in cuffs with police tape around the building to be shut down. Oh my gosh, Tom, that sounds like quite the story.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything quite that dramatic. I'm going to put you on the spot.
I would read that piece of content, Tom, whenever you're ready to write it.
Oh, yeah. We wanted to know. But April, I'm going to put you on the spot. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen in a corporate setting? That we can talk about live on LinkedIn.
Okay. I mean, there are some crazy things that I've seen, many of which I probably can't speak about. I would probably say that, not to get into, because I want to keep this fun, but the craziest thing that I still see in corporate environments, even at work now, is people assuming that working hard is going to do something for them, and they're like stressing themselves out. And I know that we all see that, but I want to not normalize that. So I think it's been normalized. So I think that's the craziest thing that I've ever seen, is constantly working hard, hoping that it pays off. And it just pays off with more checklists. There are some other ones that I need to chew on, Lauren, because I'm trying to figure out if I need to be measured with sharing that story. But yeah, that's the one that I probably can share since I worked in HR.
Yeah, working in HR makes it a little bit more difficult. Yeah. Don't forget, y'all, really quick, because I want you guys to get some of these fun prizes, and we are going to wind down towards the end of the show. We're moving into the last topic. Tag Sendoso for a chance to win a $200 gifting experience. Y'all, last month, Steve won. He was able to gift, I believe, like 4 or 5 different people gifts with his gifting experience, which was really fun. We got to pick out individual gifts for everyone and send some stuff on behalf of Steve. So tag Sendoso. And remember, if you want to gift yourself, I will not judge you. I will not tell anyone. I might say like, we're going to have a coffee together or something if I'm No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, you can get anything you want for yourself. I know if Liz, who's watching, wins, she's going to get herself a bottle of engraved tequila. We're also giving away a bottle of vodka from Venice Spirits. Tag for that. We're going to move into the last topic, which I think is probably one of the most important topics we're going to talk about today, in my opinion. And there was nobody else I wanted to have this conversation with other than April. And this is a topic that will be focused on women, y'all. Hello. But women face this in the workplace all the time. And honestly, this is one of the reasons why I like that I work from home and that I'm remote. I don't ever have to deal with anybody telling me that I'm too anything. You're too emotional. You're too loud. April, let's talk a little bit about your thoughts on all of these common stereotypes that women face in the workplace and how you navigate them, and how can women who are dealing with this today navigate them?
So this is actually a great conversation to kick off during Women's History Month, but I will preface it to say that I would be remiss if I didn't mention that while I am a woman, I'm also, because I'm Black, I see myself more so as a man when I'm in work environments, right? So follow me here. So I think that when we think about you're too much or this, I think that a lot of that comes from people projecting as transference one-on-one, that maybe they wouldn't do something that way. And in fact, a lot of the times when people say things like that, especially to women, it's because that they have this preconceived notion of how you're supposed to act, or maybe how women are supposed to act in general. And I think that part of it is continuing on being exactly who you are. Lauren, how many times have you probably been told in school, you talk too much? Look at how this has worked out for you. Keep talking.
I used to get kicked out of class for it.
Yeah. Yeah, you get kicked out of class for it. So I think that part of it is continuing and not changing who you are. But I also see a lot, even with some of my clients, where they might feel like they need to adopt masculine energy and it doesn't work because then you come off bossy. It's
100%.
showing up and being exactly who you are. But I do think that the root of it is a lot of transference in workplaces with how people think you're supposed to act when you're actually not being emotional. You're just being assertive and you're sharing it in the same way. And I think part of that is correcting people as soon as it happens, right? Because once you start letting people slide, they're going to ice skate. And I think that's the other thing too. The first time you let someone say, oh, you're being really, no, I'm actually not. Can you give me an example of how I am? I think it's really important to nip it in the bud, because when you don't, then you continue to let people control the narrative about you.
And that's part of being comfortable in the uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to stand up and say, no, I'm really not doing that. Can we discuss that further? Or, oh, okay, if you feel that way, can you give me an example? It's uncomfortable to have these conversations, but this is another reason why getting your confidence up and being able to understand your self-worth, like all of these topics are going to tie in some way, shape, or form, y'all. You have to get your self-worth up and your confidence up to be able to be uncomfortable, to have this conversation when somebody looks at you and says, you're too emotional to have this conversation, or why are you at, like, no, I'm really not. Can we discuss this? I'm being reasonable. Let's have a conversation about why you think I'm being loud. Sometimes
Yep.
I'm not loud. I'm just excited. Y'all, my voice raises when I get excited. You hear it. Sometimes I lean into the mic and you probably all hate me because I'm already talking with an elevated tone. I'm not too much of anything. And if I'm too much of anything, it's that I'm too assertive at this point because I know my worth and I know what I will tolerate. And that's the only thing that I'm willing to be, is too assertive because I know my worth. Okay, I want to talk really quick about how are we empowering others in terms of women empowering women. I know you and I talked a little bit before we got on camera about there is this inherent bro code and men just follow this bro code, right? It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, bro code is bro code and they get it. But like, I don't see women supporting women in that same fashion. And what can we do to help women understand how significant this really is?
Okay, so one of my faves actually just released a quote today. Gwyneth Paltrow, you all probably know her, seen her. She talked about how as women, we've been taught to be competitive. And I think that that's part of where it comes from, is being competitive. I mean, yeah. So Rich, I see your comment. I mean, we could see that with the favicon list, but I won't talk about that today. We're going to stay positive. So we can see that with different things in terms of codes, how people interact with people, how they choose to interact. And I think that women need to do the same thing in terms of if there's somebody, a creator that they want to support, if there's someone at work that they want to help, instead of seeing them as competition, see it more so as extending an olive or lowering a ladder. And I think that that's part of it, is that we as women are competitive by nature because we already feel like we have to prove ourselves to men in workplaces. And then let's break that down and dissect that. When we add all the other intersections in that, then we're competitive against one another. And I think that that adds to that. but I do agree. I'm looking at the comments live too. That's usually how I think that we can do a better job. And I think that the first thing is starting to extend an olive branch and to stop competing and start collaborating. And I think that that's the reason why you and I got along, is because you are someone that genuinely was like, hey, I want to chat. I did the same thing with you. There are other creators on here who write amazing content. I can name so many of them, but I'm not going to bring them up here. And I'm genuinely cheering them on, whether they have less followers or more followers, or they're growing faster, because I think when you start to know exactly who you are and what you are doing for yourself, then you don't worry about what's going on and you just get a chance to see them as a person. And that's why I'm bringing that up, because I really do think that the root cause is competition.
100%.
Which is healthy to a certain degree, but not when it gets to the point where you're like,
and that's what I want to say. Competition is normal. It's healthy. We teach our kids to compete. We teach our kids to want to win. We teach them to lose graciously, right? Competition is okay. But I think in that moment that you realize that maybe you're envious of what somebody else has, that's when you got to kind of take a step back and look in the mirror and say, am I doing this because I'm comparing myself to everyone else? Or am I doing this for what I am getting out of it for me? When I first started this show, I literally just wanted to go live. I was like, nobody's ever going to give me a talk show, and I want to have a talk show, and I like to talk, as April pointed out to all of you. So I just want to go live tomorrow and just start talking. And it was something that I did that was passionate for me, just for me, y'all. I love that you guys tune in. I love that people like April are here with me and that we get to do this every week. And it's like, it's literally my passion, but it was something that I did that wasn't for anybody else. Jody Lynn Parker, that is April's quote, want to make sure she gets credit. Jody Lynn Parker. There you go, Steve. Lindsay says, I love supporting other women, lifting others up. Look good on you. Yes. When we support other people, we look better together. When you go out with a group of women, I feel like you've probably all seen this. You can see like groups of women at the bar or out with each other. And there's always that one who just looks like she's not really having a good time. Like she's not the girl of the group. She's just like not the one who is like cheering everybody on. And the first one, I'm super excited. When April was having her baby, I remember being like, oh my God, because she told me in the DMs and I couldn't tell anybody. And I was like, one, I feel so freaking special. And two, like, I just love babies so much. I couldn't wait. I was like, when do I get to see pictures? When is it happening? Let me know. Let me know. And I like literally put in my personal calendar on my cell phone, like the month you were due. I didn't know like the day or anything, but I put like April has baby. And I was like so excited. And that month I just kept watching your LinkedIn to be like, is she going to say anything? Is she going to say anything? What's happening? But that was the connection I made with April on this platform. And we lift each other up and we support each other. And y'all, it doesn't ever matter how big April gets or how not big. If LinkedIn goes away tomorrow, like none of that matters. We've made connections and friendships and really built community. And I think that brings us back to this whole first topic of like why building across platforms and brands and so important to just really be able to meet such amazing people.
I agree. And I love that you just mentioned building across different platforms. You mentioned LinkedIn might be here. And so that's another form of insurance. I think insurance has levels. And so once you get to where you want to get on one platform, you start doing that either this way, or I know people who have really great in real life personal brands. And I think that's the next frontier for a lot of us, is how do we take this offline?
100%. I don't think I've ever had a show where all the topics intertwined so well. This one was good. Okay, I want everyone to know that there has been a correction. We are not giving away a bottle of vodka, but we're going to give you a gift certificate for a bottle of vodka. So you will be winning a gift certificate, not a bottle of vodka, just so you know. A gift certificate. Does everybody understand? Thank you, Cassandra. Love you a long time. Okay. Tag Sendoso, one last chance. We're about to do the giveaways. So you can tag Sendoso to win. You can tag Vena Spirits to win a gift certificate. And April, it's the last part of the show. It's my favorite part of the show. We are going to do the Fun Friday Fact. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm so excited. I love the Fun Friday Fact, y'all. If you haven't tuned in before, this is the part of the show where we are not serious. We are having fun. So April, what's your Fun Friday Fact?
So I have been delving into the world of escapism more. trying to stay away from self-help books and reading more, fiction novels or trash romance novels. And I started looking some different things up. And a fun fact is that the world's first novel ends mid-sentence. So who here hates a cliffhanger? But can you imagine it ending mid-sentence? That's a fun fact.
What is the novel?
It is about it looks like it's a tale of Genji, and it's an 11th century novel, and it had 54 chapters, but it still ended mid-sentence.
I would be so upset, but I'll also here. You want to know my fun Friday fact? Yeah. I read the last page first.
How do you
People who like books hate me. I read books a lot, but I read the last page first. All the time.
You want to know how it ends. You want to know if you need to commit.
I got to know if it's worth my time. I have to know.
I should have did that with, there was a Netflix show, super random. I forgot what it's called. One Fine Day. And I should have watched the last episode because I'm like, why did I watch this if she's going to die? Sorry.
Sorry. Spoiler alert. She dies at the end of that show. Yeah. Hope you didn't hear the name. Really quick shout out to Clear Cut Brands. I tagged them in the comments. They supply me with focus to keep me focused. This is not an energy drink. It is a sparkling water with an energy boost. It's about what's not in it, not what is. So shout out to them. We're going to do our giveaways right now. Thank you so much, April, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
It's literally it's just the best part of it. I literally felt like it was Christmas today. I'm so excited. Okay, we'll do the gift certificate first for the Vena Spirits vodka. Y'all, this is a vodka that's from Vietnam. It is distilled in coconut charcoal, something incredible. And if you win and you do not live in a state it can be shipped to, you can ship it to someone else. What's up, Aaron? I think this is Aaron's second show tuning in. Appreciate you tuning in today. I will DM you to get you that gift certificate. And then we are also going to draw 2 people for the Sendoso Grand Prize. So there will be 8 people total that are chosen for this throughout the month. And then the very last Friday of the month, we draw for the grand prize giveaway. Who's it going to be? Liz, Derek, Steve, Emmy, Chris, Alyssa, Aaron. We got 2 Aarons in the mix. Tom, congratulations. You are going to be entered into the grand prize giveaway. All right, we're going to do one more here right now. Who's it going to be? Derek, Nick, Aaron, Lindsay. So many awesome people tuning in. Appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for coming back. What's up, Malachi? I don't think I've seen you before. Whoop, whoop. Maybe you'll keep coming back, especially if you win this awesome gifting experience from Sendoso. Y'all, this was fun. April, any final words for everybody this Friday? Fabulous Friday.
I feel like a good roundup is we talked about multiple topics. So I guess starting with the first topic, we talked about, you might need to jog my memory. My 37 years is showing.
Building across platforms.
Building across platforms. So begin building you have something of value to share. It might not feel like it. Peter, Lindsay, I know you. But I'm just calling out some random names. Elizabeth, you might not feel like you have perspective to share, but you do. So think about starting your brand. This is the best time to do it. And think about what can you ramble about and start there. Even if you have nothing to sell, just start giving. And then it starts to come to you from there. Then I think that naturally takes us into, the self-work versus self-work. You will need to do that. And I think that part of that is starting to take credit and own your wins, starting to do that. I think that building confidence is more of something that is more of action than just you fixing your mindset. The same way I feel about settling. And I talked about this on LinkedIn. If you want to stop settling for things, it means if you go to your favorite restaurant and they're out of your meal and you're not starving, you go to the next restaurant. You don't settle for the next item. It starts in micro doses. And I just want everybody to have a great Friday. So I just want you to take that away, that you have perspective that the world needs to hear, even if you don't feel like it. Take some time, start jotting it down, and put yourself out there. Don't spend too much time in ideation. Just put yourself out there. And I'm not saying to just post. I'm saying ideation first.
Love it. This is my reminder that you think about you more than anybody else thinks about you. So say the thing, send the email, make the phone call, do the thing. You are okay. You will come out the other side. If something scary happens, DM me. I'll support you through it. But y'all, this is going to be it for us. April, thank you so much. I had the most fun today. Y'all, you know what I always say? If you didn't enjoy it, don't come back. Bye.
Bye.